Part of making a live service game is apologizing constantly. To that end, the gaming world has just received an extrema of that statement through the announcement of newly released Concord's suspension of service just 2 weeks after it initially launched, even refunding people who bought it. It's not exactly a huge surprise to anyone that's been keeping up with Concord that the game wasn't doing too well with its launch numbers, on Steam at least, but it doesn't make it not sad. In a perfect world, every game would be successful. However, if you've been in the gaming sphere for any amount of time, you've seen your fair share of pretty bad launches. Games like Anthem, Battleborn, Lawbreakers, Quake Champions, and there are some games that don't even make it to launch initially, like Gigantic. However, in Gigantic's case, that game did get a proper relaunch, and at least for now, that's not what's happening here. This is not a phoenix going into ashes. This is a game utterly flopping in the midst of a pretty turbulent market. A market that not only Concord shared a lot of tonal and genre similarity with, but also a market of games that, especially the brand Concord was looking to compete with, don't go away. They stay around and very competitively aim to retain their loyal player bases over several years. That is to say, I'm not interested in completely dissecting the reasons why Concord failed, but rather I'm looking to discuss what it takes to make a game as a service in 2024 and why these various factors were stacked against games like Concord and its hardworking developers from the start. So, hero shooters. The thing about them is that people are drawn to these games for the characters. These games feature entire cultures around only playing one character even, and regardless of what you think about Concord's designs personally, it's a question worth asking, especially in a market populated by a lot of free-to-play games, whether or not slapping a price tag and bundling all the characters together is a worthwhile business decision. I want to bring up Overwatch because they expressly moved away from this model in 2022 in order to continue supporting it a whole 2 years before Concord came out. Like, yeah, the robot vacuum guy might look cool to somebody, and that's the marketing of the genre working, but I think in an environment where Valorant, Paladins, Marvel Rivals in December, Deadlock are all free, with a select amount also having the characters all be free. But the thing is, that's not even the worst part. Concord's main game mode is multiplayer only. A game being multiplayer is fantastic. It's great. Not only because you can play with your friends, but also because there are multiple copies of the game being sold at the same time just to play with them. But now in the market with all the aforementioned games that are all very hyped, successful, and well-known, unless you're solo queuing, which a fair amount of people do, but a fair amount also don't, you need to convince at least one other person, preferably more, if you're the person who likes Vacuum Guy, to drop $40 on the game with you so you can try out Vacuum Guy, who you thought looked cool in a trailer. Now, I know what you're going to say. Then why did that work for Overwatch? Well, Overwatch was not only a brand new Blizzard IP, a company that had a way better reputation in 2016, it was also pretty innovative for its genre, given the landscape. The game people would compare Overwatch to was Team Fortress 2, a game from 2009. The game people compare new hero shooters to, like Concord, are, well, I listed like 9 in this video already. But alright, okay. Best case scenario, games with big brands behind them, like Sony, can pierce saturated markets. It's Fine, it was a misread, and let's give Sony the benefit of the doubt that Concord was always meant to sell at a loss to begin with, which isn't even necessarily a bad strategy. Like I've said, a lot of the games mentioned in this video are free. Zenless Zone Zero should be the greatest yet testament to this fact, with people all around the world spending upwards of $96 million on a game that a majority of those customers probably still think of as free. Gachas, like hero shooters, sell their products on their characters, but there's no precedent of getting the characters you want for free, so I guess it doesn't upset anybody. I just realized Zenless Zone Zero is a game as a service released super recently, and it's successful. I wonder what exactly it did right. Yeah, I mean, this is so obvious, but marketing, especially through word of mouth in gaming communities, is the lifeblood of games as a service. If people stop talking about your game, stop playing it, stop ranting about how the last patch sucks, it's not generating interaction. Viral marketing is good for any product, but especially a product that's looking to be a continuous service, you always want to aim for it. Street Fighter 6, as a for instance, signal boosts character number changes when they happen. Even back in 2016, DICE had influencers and celebrities play Battlefield 1 just so they could tell you how cool it was. And the kicker is, it doesn't matter even if he's just walking into walls or even if he likes the game at all. Sorry to say, but the game being good is only a part of making a game successful, because if enough people interact with your game and if public figures say it's cool, there will be a market that is still interested in your product. That's not even bringing up traditional advertising, like like YouTube ads, billboards, having Jeff Keighley greet your game director by name.
Please join me, Gamescom, in welcoming to ONL, Peter Molyneux. Wow.
These are all really good things for your game. Notably, Firewalk didn't get any of these when trying to release Concord, even influencer marketing. We got a trailer at a State of Play, a open beta that was barely advertised, scarcely publicized character trailers that really only started 3 weeks before the game came out. There was even an animated trailer that I didn't even know about until I started doing research for this video. And a few developer interviews, and then bam, release. It honestly makes you think about how this is entirely Sony's fault. So, as much as my heart goes out to the developers at Firewalk, is there anything that we could learn from Concord? For starters, the business model of this product doesn't make sense, and the advertising campaign started way too late, which are both so bad for a game looking to be the next big thing, and could have been remedied through proper market research on Sony's part, which also would have shown them that there is just not enough time to get the word out about this game before launch. I can't guarantee a free Concord would have been successful. In fact, I personally doubt it, as the game just wasn't reaching the audiences it needed to, or at the very least, it wasn't making them turn their heads away from the already oversaturated market with games like Concord. So with that in mind, I think some serious retooling and forward thinking would be needed for this idea to acclimate well into the current market. However, I have hope, for Firewalk's sake, that the best way forward is beneficial for them and their teams. Ugh, and I guess Sony, even though they are totally to blame for the launch of this game. I mean, don't worry about people at Sony though. They have Astrobot.